Today is the 29th of January, 2010. We're at the New York State Military Museum and Veterans Research Center in Saratoga Springs, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and your date and place of birth, please?
Richard David Crammond. Place of birth is Troy, New York, and the date would be 9/1948.
And did you attend school in Troy?
I attended school in Stillwater, New York.
And did you graduate from high school?
I certainly did.
What year did you graduate?
1969.
And when you graduated, did you go right into the service, or did you go to work, or what did you do?
I was out of high school for approximately a year, and then approximately 2 days before my marriage, I got my draft notice.
All right. So you were drafted
A month later, I was on my way to Fort Dix.
Okay. And what was it like at Fort Dix?
Fort Dix was an experience that I will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
But I was treated fairly.
Was that your first time away from home?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Very homesick for the first week.
Mm-hmm. And did you go down with anyone else from the Capital District?
I did. I went down with, there was a fella that lived in the trailer park that Deb and I had just put our new mobile home in. That went with me.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Nobles, his name is, and there was quite a few people from Saratoga, which I don't remember the names of.
Uh-huh. And after basic training, did you go on to an advanced school for your MOS?
I went to 8 more weeks of truck driver school, light and heavy duty truck driver school at Fort Dix.
Did they teach you mechanics also, or strictly truck driving?
They mostly truck driving. There was some mechanics, but the people that wanted to drive and the people that wanted to be mechanics was like more drivers than mechanics.
Uh-huh.
So they focused on more drivers.
And once you finished that training, were you sent over to Vietnam right away?
I sure was.
Did you get any sort of leave before you went to Vietnam?
I believe, thinking back, I believe I got a 2-week leave.
Mm-hmm. How did your wife react to you being sent to Vietnam? Was she very upset?
She was, and I was too, to be honest with you, but we just, we talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, well, being the patriotic person that I am, I said, have to do it.
Mm-hmm. And whereabouts did they ship you out of?
I left from right here in Saratoga.
But did you go
from,
to like
from,
Fort Lewis or
Oh yes,
Fort Ord?
I went from Fort Dix to Fort Lewis, Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Fort Lewis, Washington to Anchorage, Alaska, and then Dakota, Japan, and right over to Crammond Bay.
What was your reaction when you landed in Crammond Bay?
To be perfectly honest with you, when I got off of that plane
Mm-hmm.
and took a look around that airport, 14th Airport, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I looked around and I said, what did I do to deserve this?
Now, did you land at night or during the daytime?
During the daytime.
And once you got settled in, how long did it take before you were assigned to a unit?
Approximately 1 week.
1 week. What did they have you do around I take it was a replacement depot where you had landed and stayed for a week before you were assigned?
Baggage detail, paperwork, general maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 formations a day,
Mhm.
and that's about it.
And then you received orders that you would be staying in Crammond Bay?
I never received the order that I would be staying right there at the replacement center. One of the other fellas that flew over on the plane with me pulled me by the arm and said, "Hey, come on with me. I heard they need bus drivers here at the replacement center." I said, "No, no, no." He says, "Yes." So we went over to the motor pool.
Uh-huh.
Warrant officer was sitting at the desk. To this day, I'm still surprised. He says, "Yes, I can use you, 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 and you." He says, "Start tomorrow." So that's how I got stationed at 22nd Replacement in North Campbell
So you were a bus driver at Crammond?
for a while.
Uh-huh.
And then I was a baggage truck driver for a while, loading and unloading the commercial jets, the Freedom Birds we called them.
Mhm. Now, as a bus driver, where did you drive to? Was it strictly on post?
It was from the replacement center approximately 4.5 miles to the airport and back,
Mhm.
most of the time.
What brand of buses were they?
Our first buses were Isuzus,
Uh-huh.
and then approximately 6 to 7 months after they got so wore out, we got a whole fleet of new Internationals.
Uh-huh. Did the buses have any sort of wiring over the windows to prevent grenades from being tossed in?
The first ones did, the Isuzus did.
Mhm.
They were all wire cased
Mhm.
windows. Oh yes, absolutely. But I don't recall the later buses having wires on them.
Were the buses air conditioned?
They were. The newer buses were. The Isuzus were not, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh. And what was your typical workday like?
It was chaotic in so many words. It was 24 hours on call. So I never really, I could take a nap for an hour or I could take a nap for 5 minutes, and you never knew.
Uh-huh.
First 6 months there was almost back-to-back in and out flights coming into country and going out of country. Second 6 months, just the opposite.
Mhm. Did you run into anybody that you knew from back home that were either coming or going?
Yes, I did. There was a fella that was stationed, I put in a good word for him, I guess you could say, to my warrant officer.
Uh-huh.
And he came over approximately 6 to 7 months after I was there. And he was from my hometown, Stillwater,
Uh-huh. And what was his name?
George Marshall. And let's see. Yes, I went over to the motor pool, got all dressed up nice and everything. Looked the respectable soldier, and so many words. Warrant officer says, "Well, I can't do nothing for you. They're making the orders up before they come in the country." I said, "Thank you for your time, sir." Next day, Georgie was there,
Oh.
stationed with me in the same room,
Oh.
which I don't know, that's good or bad.
Was he happy to be stationed at Crammond and not out in the
Oh, definitely.
boonies somewhere?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And in a big way,
Mhm.
we, as I mentioned, well, I won't go into that. Everybody had a job to do, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I figured that whether we were in that replacement center or out in the field somewhere, we tried to do our job the best we could.
Mhm. Did you have to pull any duties like KP or guard duty at all?
In Vietnam?
Yes.
No. Guard duty, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Not KP though.
And what type of weapon were you issued?
That was M60. And we had one fella that got into a big squabble with one of the E7s, and we had to guard him with a 45.
Mhm. Did you keep your M16 with you at all times, or were they locked in an arms room?
Just on red alert.
Uh-huh.
The rest of the time they were locked up.
While you were over there, were you ever under any type of ground attack or rocket attack?
We did get some incoming,
Mm-hmm.
to be perfectly honest with you. The ammo dump was touched off real good one
Mhm.
night, and it shook the ground real good. Everybody was on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Was it fairly close to you?
It was fair, we were on one end of the airstrip, and that was on the other side, towards the ocean more.
Okay. By 1970, what were race relationships like?
Between the whites and the blacks?
Yes.
There were
Were there
I
any
don't know whether
problems
you
or?
call them groups or whatever. They tend to stay together, you know.
Uh-huh.
No, we not in the motor pool I was in. We had some blacks with us, not
Mhm.
very many, but
So everyone got along?
we got along good.
All right.
Yeah, I would say so.
And did you go on R&R at all while you were over there?
No, I didn't quite make that. I did come home for a 2-week leave.
And what were the circumstances behind that?
For our Deb and I's first anniversary.
Oh, they let you come home for 2 weeks?
Yes,
Really?
yes. I had to pay for it myself, but the USO gave me a discount.
I see.
But I was home for our first anniversary, which was very nice.
Did you ever get to go into town at all while you were over there, or tour any villages at all?
I was strictly replacement center. The people like George did have a run where they brought the workers back and forth to the replacement center and back to the village, and
Uh-huh.
which was a very dangerous job, I thought.
Uh-huh. Did you ever volunteer to go out on any convoys at all?
I did go with George once or twice over across the bay. Whether I was supposed to or not, I don't recall.
Uh-huh.
But it was that was a different world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you saw more than I did.
A lot of poverty?
Not only a lot of, oh, definitely,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Some people in this United States just don't know how good they have it sometimes. It's to see people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. But anyways, that's beside it.
Did you get to swim in the South China Sea at all?
I did. Did you?
Sure.
Oh, that was cool. I mean, it was very salty, but
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous. Those people, they should have, instead of fighting all those years, they just should have built up the coast like Hawaii or some place. They could have made a lot of money.
Did your unit have any problems with drugs, hard drugs, or marijuana, or?
I think so. I think not as much as other units that were out in the field more.
Mm-hmm.
There were some bad cases, but there was some.
And what were your officers and NCOs like?
The warrant officer, the first warrant officer we had was a very nice man.
Mm-hmm.
He was rough, he talked rough and everything, but he would sit right down. He tried to work with you. My E7 and E6 sergeants over me were very good. They were like lawyers if you had to go to court,
Uh-huh.
which I did one time for speeding.
Really?
I was
On
bus.
post?
No, going from the replacement center to the airport, which was about 4.5 miles. And they got the Air Force SPs or whatever they were.
Uh-huh.
They caught me speeding, and they wrote me up and give me a tongue lashing, and it was just before I was supposed to make Spec 4, so I was very worried about that. So I brought it to my Sergeant Ford. He goes into the office with a warrant officer and the E6.
Uh-huh.
He comes out ripping it out. Took care of that.
So you made your Spec 4.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But it was definitely an experience that, for a small town country boy like myself,
Mhm.
you know, I grew up and see nobody up or down the road from me, you know,
Mhm.
and to go, even just to go through the cities I went through, just to get there and back, it was a big experience. I still have mixed feelings about it, about us being over there to begin with,
Mhm.
Americans, but like I said before, I'm patriotic, so.
What kind of uniform did you wear? Did you wear the stateside fatigues or the jungle fatigues?
Jungle fatigues.
And did they have to be starched and pressed?
I was a part-time full bolt colonel driver, a sedan driver, and for that they did have to be starched. Other than that, not really, because we got into we had to clean our buses out and things like that. We got pretty dirty.
Uh-huh. How did you get along with the colonel that you had to drive around?
Every time was different one.
Okay.
So most of them were good, except for one, I recall.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they were easy. As long as I was young, and sometimes I probably wasn't as level-headed as I should have been.
Uh-huh.
But I was treated pretty fairly.
What were your quarters like? Now, did you have two-man rooms or open bay?
We
Barracks?
had barracks with two-man room
Uh-huh.
and approximately at any given time a half a dozen to a dozen cockroaches the size of sparrows and lizards
Mm-hmm.
that we shared the room with.
How about snakes? Ever encounter
We
any of
had
that?
the sand lizards were approximately 2 foot long that would occasionally come in,
Uh-huh.
but it was fun.
Now, how about the food? How was that?
We were fed decently.
What about entertainment? Did you have a lot of bands or USO shows?
We had our E-4 and below lounge,
Mm-hmm.
motor pool lounge, and then E5 and above, they had better entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
That we weren't allowed to go in there.
Uh-huh. Now, it was an enlisted man's club, E4 and below.
I should say maybe, looking back, thinking back, it probably was E5 and below.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, was it strictly beer or?
Oh, it was beer and it was whiskey and I don't remember any vodka or
Okay.
gin or anything like that.
Okay. Food also?
Just a regular, like any bar would
Chips
have.
or?
Yeah,
yeah.
beer nuts and things like that.
All right. And you mentioned you extended?
I extended, yes I did.
Okay. How long did you extend for?
I extended for, it was supposed to be for 6 months.
Uh-huh.
But President Nixon, by the end of my tour, was really starting to pull the troops out of there, which was the end of '71.
Uh-huh.
And I was approximately a month on my extension.
Uh-huh. A month in and you were sent back?
I got there December 2nd, and I left the end of December.
Okay.
So I was approximately a month.
How did your wife feel about you extending?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I don't recall.
All right. And when did you say you left Vietnam?
I left Vietnam probably on the last day of 1971.
And you left, of course, from Cameron.
See, as you well know, you have travel time.
Uh-huh.
You lose a day and gain a day when you go through the time zones.
Right.
So it was probably the last day of '71.
And whereabouts in the States did you land?
The first state landing was Anchorage, Alaska.
And whereabouts were you discharged from?
I was discharged from Fort Lewis, Washington, and then I was discharged again from Fort Dix, New Jersey. What happened was they lost all my medical records in Fort Lewis. So they gave me a month to stay home, then I had to go back down to Fort Dix and go through the whole discharge.
Really? Wow. Now, did you stay in contact with anyone you were in service with? Obviously, the fellow that from Stillwater you were in the same unit with, you probably see him quite often.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anybody else?
Well, there was one fella from Stillwater, his name was Frank Russell. I remember seeing him in basic training, but I don't really see him that much anymore.
Uh-huh. Did you attend any reunions at all
Of,
from the
no,
unit?
I haven't.
Okay.
That would be nice.
Mm-hmm. And did you join any veterans organizations?
I am a volunteer at the Public Information Center at the Gerald B.H. Solomon Saratoga National Cemetery.
Oh, okay. And did you join the VFW or the American Legion at all?
I did for a while, but I let my membership lapse.
How do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
That's a question that I think thinking about things more and being more mature and everything comes more with age.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me a lot of things, but I can't really tell you any one specific thing that it did for me. It did change me, but
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how to answer.
Now, let me go back just a little bit to when you were discharged. Did you run into any protesters at all at any of the airports? Did anyone bother you because you were in uniform?
No. No, I did not. But on the other hand, I didn't get any special, you probably didn't either, any special homecoming either.
Right.
I mean, I was just a GI that did his time and put on civilian clothes, man. I was proud,
Mm-hmm.
and I still am today. I was proud of that uniform.
Did you make use of the GI Bill at all?
The GI Bill,
Did you use it to buy a house or anything, or
I
any
got
kind of
an
training?
No, I got an exemption on my taxes for being in Vietnam in the combat zone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was very nice, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
GI Bill, I don't think I...
All right.
Deb and I, we've always lived in mobile homes, so we really never went for
Okay.
any big house or anything like
And are you still married?
that. I'm still married, it'll be 40 years, June 20th.
Wow. Any children?
One boy,
Uh-huh.
Richard Jr.
Any grandchildren?
2 twin girls.
Wow. Okay. Are there any other incidents or memories from your time in the service that you'd like to share with us that we may not have touched on? Anything funny happen in basic training or anything like that?
Basic training taught me a lot right off the bat because there was big fellas, great big fellas, and little small fellas. And there was, about halfway through, I started thinking, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not. But I took a look and, well, this guy's doing it, and that little guy, and that great big guy, one on each arm, they're helping them along and everything.
Uh-huh.
So if they can do it, I can do it. Because like I said, I had never run into any real, my father was stern, but discipline, I didn't really know discipline until I got off that bus, like you said. then I knew.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your interview.
You're welcome.
Oh, wait a minute. Yes, you do have those photographs we'd like to see. If you want to hold those up. Okay. And these are taken in Vietnam?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what kind of aircraft is that in the background?
That is a C-5A Galaxy.
All right.
My nickname when I drove the bus was, my real name is Richard Crammond, but my nickname was Ralph Cramden.
Oh, now, was that a newspaper clipping from the local paper, or was that an Army publication?
That is from a local paper that my mother sent to me
Okay,
when I was over there.
okay. And you've got another photo?
Well, this is just basic training.
Okay, yeah, if you'll hold that up.
Picture, that's all this is here. Straighten it out for you.
Now, whereabouts are you in that photo?
Well, I am right with it. Right there. Index finger. Scared
Okay.
young man in that picture, because that drill sergeant right there, you see the stern look on his face. He was very,
Where's the drill sergeant? The fellow in the front?
right here with the Smoky Bear hat on.
And what was his name?
Sergeant Goss.
Okay. All right, well, thank you again for your interview.
Thank you, sir.